I got my notes. So last time it was...
When I sat in the car, you always wonder, what's it going to feel like? You know, it was my first time driving a mid-engine GT car. You know, my thoughts were, wow, this is really good for our first time in a car. I was really surprised by you're sitting low, you got the A-pillars at steep angles, the windshield's at steep angles, you can see the fender flares. I think we have a chance to win. Everything's got to go right, but I think we have a car that can win the race or be on the podium. But can you imagine how cool that would be to go back 50 years later to the year and do it?
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Apex Racing TV's coverage of round number 4 of the Oceanic Formula 1 Championship here at the Imola circuit. My name is Scott Newton, and alongside me tonight is Samuli Kumo. Welcome, Samuli. Imola presenting a bit of a challenge for the drivers today with the challenging conditions, but it should be a great one to watch tonight.
Yeah, thanks Scott, great to be here. Yeah, Imola is definitely one of those tracks that you associate with the F1, and on iRacing it's not that old the circuit, so we'll see how much practice the guys have been able to put in. We heard from Evan Lators beforehand that he is not very familiar with this track, although he is currently sitting pretty at the second place. Have you had any chance to run this track on any series?
Yeah, in the Formula Renault 2.0 I've had a bit of experience around this track. Can prove quite a challenge, especially with these quite difficult curves, but if you get the line right, it can be very, very rewarding.
Yeah, there is 2 layouts available, and the one we are running is without the parental buses gain. So we should be seeing great top speed through the main straight and great overtaking spots into turn 2, which is that Italian Tranguardo. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah, Imola has had quite a steeped history, some great history, but also some very tragic in the past. But one of the classic circuits. Personally, I think that the 94 to the 2004-2005 layout, where they had that chicane in the final sector, was probably the best layout. But having seen the older layout with the fast Tamburello turn 1 and all the way up into Tozas, had quite a fast and flowing section, so it should be a very, very challenging track for the drivers, as we're just about to come up to the end of qualifying.
Yes, the drivers are just wrapping up, finishing their qualifying laps. We can go over those in just a moment, but just to remind you, this is the Oceanic F1 Championship series, and if you are interested in joining this, the signups are still open, I believe. Head out to oceanicf1.com to find out more. And this series is brought to you by Ask Medica, Nuvea, KRF Motorsports, and the new sponsor, which is Melbourne Kart Center, who has kindly donated prizes for the top 3. First place gets you race suit, second place championship place gets you race boots, and third place gets you race cloth. So if you are looking for some kart parts or karts even around Melbourne, go check them out. That is Melbourne Kart Center. And with that, we are pretty much done with the qualify. So you go over the grid as we get ready for it.
So taking the pole position, we've got Evan Lathoris on a 1 minute 20.581. Alongside him is Bo Albert, only 7/100 slower than him. Steve Jansen, top 3, as kindly the overlay changed as we headed onto the grid. I will momentarily have that for you. Dylan Shepherd, top 4, 7/10 behind our pole position. Greg Olsen rounding out the top 5. Jan Brezina, 8/10 behind the leader. Michael Halif-Dassin, Estefano Estanino in 8th position. Matt Webb, Lewis Wedding rounding out the top 10. Alan Morgan, Scott McKee, Martin Houston, Luke Sullivan, Jamie McKnight, Phil White, Wayhan Chan, Jamie McKnight, CEO for Arifin rounding out the field.
Yeah, thanks for that. And yes, sorry for any kind of names that we keep messing up. That is going to happen. And if you would like us to pronounce them correctly, please leave a message on the YouTube chat and we will get it sorted. Okay, we got 40 seconds remaining on the grid, and let's see, who are we still waiting for? Lewis Wedding and Evan Lathoris. Lathoris is currently our championship leader. But I wonder if he is going to start from the pits. I believe he mentioned something like that before the race.
Let's talk of him starting from the pit lane, but with the pole position, not sure what he plans to do, but as we've got 3 seconds to go before the lights start to show up on the grid, and we'll be getting ready for the start of this race as the revs build and lights are out, and it looks as though we've got a fairly clean start as everyone's making it off the grid. It looks as though that Fairley got a clean start. Sorry, going too wide. It looks as though that everyone's being fairly graceful through the Tamburello section as going
small contact between
file.
Matt Webb and was that Martin Houston, I believe.
Yeah, it looks as though that everyone's managed to make it single file through up into Toza. We've got Steve Jansen currently leading from Gregory Olsen. Bo Albert falling back into 3rd place. It looks as though that Greg Olsen's got a great start from his top 5 position.
And I can also tell you that Evan Lathoris has rejoined the race. He started from the pits and is currently running 17th. Behind him is Lewis Wedding, who also started from the pits.
Well, as we see that, who was that? Bo Albert got a bit of contact through the very anti-alta chicane and has looped it. He's currently gathering it back up and has fallen back to the back end of the top 10. An unfortunate incident there for Albert as he just runs wide at the Ravazza complex there. But he'll be back underway and completing the end of the first lap.
Yeah, it looks like Albert just got caught up by Gregory Olson, who was slightly slower through the second part of the chicane and just made a small tap to the back end and just lost the back end of his own car.
Yeah, it's quite just as we see Dylan Shepherd looping it out of the Villeneuve chicane Just looked as though they got on the power too much there and looped it around, especially with the battery systems that the MP430 has, and the amount of torque that he put down going over that green AstroTurf there. It looks as though that he got a little bit too greedy there, especially on lap number 2, and just fallen back down to the 5th place there.
Yeah, he clipped the inside curve quite hard, and it seems like he may have some damage to the suspension. He did hit the back end of his car, and who was that who also went off? That was Michael Aflidason, who went off in the, was that Aqua Minerali?
I just caught the back end of that. Looks as though that he self-spun, but he's managed to gain it back up to the 6th place. It's worth mentioning that this race is a 55-minute race. On current lap times, it looks as though we'll have probably a 35-lap race. So pit stops are optional, as we see a move from Bo Albert moving it up into pin number 7 through Tamburello on Alan Morgan, who was who held that 7th position, but it looks as though that he's been challenged by Scott McKee through the Villeneuve chicane, but manages to hold on up into Tosa.
Yeah, we all about. Oh, and that is. They are spinning in the Tosa. And more contact as. Was that the Luke Sullivan who hit the McKnight? That was a big mess. I'm sorry if you can get a replay of what happened there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to.
Where did it start?
I think it was Alan Morgan trying to defend from. Was it Scott McKee? And yeah, just going through the Tosa section there, just managing to lose the back end, trying to put the power down, and yeah, unfortunately Scott McKee went into the back of Morgan, and Morgan just trying to rejoin the track and collecting in another car. It might have been Luke Sullivan. Yeah, it was. So yeah, an unfortunate pick there from Morgan, and collecting a number of drivers, but yeah, back underway. Sullivan quite a lot of damage at the moment, but I reckon he'll be in for a stop very, very soon.
Yeah, looking back, it just looks like Morgan lost the back end on the middle of the hairpin and just couldn't really help anything. At that point, he became really a passenger, and there's not much he could do.
So looking back up at the front, currently we've got Steve Janssen. We've got 2.3 second gap to Gregory Elson. Janssen doing a stellar job at the moment. Last time around he did a 23.5 compared to a 23.9 for Gregory Olsen. So gap at the moment, yeah, just holding at 2.3 seconds. Rounding out the podium at the moment is Jan Brezina for Blackadder Motorsports. Matt Webb, after his starting position, finds himself in 4th position, and Dylan Shepherd, after his self-spin at Villeneuve chicane, finds himself at the back end of the top 5.
Yeah, Jan Brezina really coming under pressure by Webb and Shepherd here. He's able to slightly increase the gap, and now Shepherd is attacking Webb. Only 2 tenths behind, and this might be a move coming up towards the Tosa. Shepherd doesn't quite get the good run, but still dives in. Great move, makes the pass, and is not able to get the cut back here. Doesn't look like it. Piratola is not really usually the favorite overtaking spot, and that is where Shepherd through.
Yeah, definitely we've seen quite the battle through from Tosa all the way up into Piratello. One battle notably comes to mind is between the 2 teammates of Ralph Schumacher and Juan Pablo Montoya, where they went side by side through there. I think Juan Montoya being the benefactor of that, but yeah, Dylan Shepherd, great move up into Tosa, managing to defend the position up into Piratella there, and currently has managed to pull a 1.4 second lead over Matt Webb.
Also looking back at the 8th place, that is Evan Latour, so he has been able to make quite a few positions from starting all the way back. And his pace is not that fast actually. Everyone else is also running in the 23s. And his previous lap time was 24.0, so not sure if he is struggling with the tires or did he have some damage. He almost just ran wide on the first corner. Able to hold on, but it seems like he's struggling with the car right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether he's bitten one of the curbs and whether that's caused some floor damage to his car, but yeah, if he's only doing a 24.0 compared to the leaders of a 23.6, it looks as though that Bo Albert was the quickest last time around on a 23.2, but yeah, it looks as though that yeah, Latourus is struggling, maybe as you say, with the tyres, or whether it's just in fuel conservation mode at the moment. This is a fixed fuel tank where the drivers have to take all of their fuel at the start of the race. If they decide to pit, they will be only taking tyres. So whether Latourus has decided to take 1 kilo less than he needs to, and just try to be that little bit quicker, but we'll have to see how his pace progresses through this lap. Through this race. Is about to cross the line now. We'll find out what his lap time is. Just a tenth quicker than his last time around, back into the 23s.
Yeah, we did hear about the tires not being an issue here, but considering it is 43 degrees on the track, and it is getting hotter every lap these guys are going by, I can't imagine them having a very easy time with it.
No, definitely, especially not with the locking of the tyre, especially with the recent update that iRacing have put out that localizes the hot spots if you just happen to lock a brake, whereas in previous builds it's actually heated the entire tyre, even though that the lockup was only on one specific spot. So yeah, we'll have to see how that progresses during the race if many drivers get lockups.
And speaking of trouble, Albert just ran a little bit wide into the that was Aqua Minerale. Only lost 1 position, but that is 1 position he now needs to get back, as he makes a move on Hafley Dawson here on the main straight, and Hafley doesn't really fight back. And Brezina around on the turn 2. Let's see what happened. Yeah, just looking at the replay, he was trying to make a pass, just got blindsided, and suddenly he was on the grass. Lost 2 positions, but doesn't look like there's any major damage to his car. Oh, yeah. And what happened here between Houston and Estorninho? I see 2 cars stop here on the turn 2 on the first chicane.
Yeah, just coming up on replay now. Looks as though that is that Jan Brezina? Looks as though one of the Blackadder cars. Could be wrong. Yeah, looks as though that was Jan. Coming up to
no.
No,
Okay.
it's Houston cutting up on the curve, and the car behind you, that was Jan collecting it. So yeah, an unfortunate mistake there from Houston. Also, Brezina also getting into the back of him and causing a bit of front damage. So yeah, those turn 1 and 2 curves proving to be pretty brutal for the drivers out there today.
Yeah, they're especially on this car that is so low, but even on like normal GT cars like Porsche, which I've driven a lot, they are really hard, and you have to be careful not to flip the car over. you hit them too hard. Let's see here, what kind of battles do we have going on? Still, this battle for the 5th place carries on. Looks like Matt Webb is quite slowly falling back, as Halfley doesn't make small mistake through the Aqua Minerale, but didn't cost him too much time. Also, Bio Albert in front of them, but we've seen Albert being much quicker through the race.
Yeah, currently the fastest lap, as I'm looking at my timing screen, still belongs to Bo Albert of a 23.216. The leader's current fastest lap is only 2 100ths behind of a 23.236. So yeah, Bo Albert very quick in terms of one lap pace at the moment, but in terms of the overall lap consistency, yeah, Janssen is still proving to be the fastest at the moment, as it's definitely demonstrating. Current gap between himself and second place Gregory Olsen has jumped up to 2.7 seconds.
And Albert's still struggling, just saw him running wide on the first again. And interestingly, looking at the lap times, now all the front runners are down to 24s. So has the track really changed that much, or has there been change in the wind direction?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure with the wind direction, as we see Matt Webb just running wide at Aquamila Rani, but also looking at the timing screen, Evan Lathoris is the only driver in the 23s doing a 23.5, so 6/10ths quicker than the leaders, and at least a second quicker than the driver ahead of him, so he should be within the next 3 or 4 laps up to the 7th place of Jan Brezina.
Yeah, the gap to the front for Lathoris is 23.7 seconds, so that is still quite a lot of time he has to make up if he is looking to even get the podium. But I think top 5 is still perfectly reasonable, and as we see right now, drivers getting back into the 23s, with the exception of Harley Johnson, who most likely had a mistake on the previous lap. And also Matt Webb has fallen back, so they must have come together or just had awful laps together, because Jan Brezina has been able to make a pass on Matt Webb.
Yeah, I'll see whether I can quickly find that. He was already past him at the entry to the Tamburello. Just as it's coming up.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, but Matt Webb, he has disappeared.
Okay, so yeah, just as he was going through the Rats complex, looked as though that Jan Brezina was within the DRS range and managed to get the jump on Matt Webb coming up into the Tamburello section. As yeah, they're coming past the start-finish line. Yeah, just looked as though that Jan Brezina just had the overspeed with the DRS and just managed to gain the position through sheer speed. So yeah, it was a great move there from Jan Brezina up into the 5th place. But yeah, as you say, yeah, Matt Webb's had issues in falling down the timing screen at the moment.
Yeah, I've been looking at what happened. He just went straight on to the Variante Alta. It seems like it looks really weird. I'm not sure what happened to him. Maybe some kind of equipment failure. Just went off the course on braking zone and straight on. I don't believe he got disqualified.
No, I don't think there is an incident cap for the drivers out there today. Yeah, just as we see on the replay there that Matt Webb is going straight onto the outside of the other variante Alta. So yeah, we're having issues there, and which forces him out of this race at present. So we'll have to wait and see whether he rejoins the race.
Yeah, I can maybe shed some light on that. It looks like he is having some connection issues because he has now left the session. So that might be, he may be able to rejoin, but if he is, he will be many laps behind. In the meantime, our two pit lane starters are currently running 7th and 8th motors and waiting. So considering they were all the way back, just being slightly ahead of the half of the grid, that's a really good effort from them. Although they did make quite many positions after the big incident at the Tosa.
Yeah, for sure. Just looking at Lewis Wedding at the moment, coming up into Piratella now. This time around, he 1 minute 24.4, but it looks as though that he had an off track somewhere as his quickest lap is a 1 minute 24.9. So whether the stewards will have something to say about that, as but yeah, we'll inevitably see him go quicker. As the fuel burns down, we've still got 36 minutes of this race to go.
Yeah, also issues for Dana Shepard. He did a 360 spin just before the pit lane. He's able to continue, maybe small bump to the back of his car, but doesn't seem to be anything terminal.
It just got a bit grady on the AstroTurf on the exit of the Ravazza at the final corner there, but it looks as though he might have a bit of rear wing damage, as his the right side of his rear wing's a little bit bent in. It might look as if he's got a bit of rear suspension damage as well, as Jan Brezin is right on the back of him at this moment. Currently only 6 tenths behind. As we jump back to live pictures.
Brezin are really close here. But it is really uncomfortable feeling when you just hit the wall slightly, and the first lap with that car, you really don't know how it's going to behave. So you have to take a little bit easier than you would normally.
Yeah, definitely. As we see Dylan Shepard jumping into the pit, so that damage might be a little bit more than we suspected. As he pits 1 lap later than his little incident there. As we see Lothoris trying to battle with Michael Halifdasson with the back into the top 5. As we see them going up into Tosa now. Gap is 6 tenths of a second. Last time around, Lothoris was able to close up a good 3 tenths of a second. And Halifdasson through. It might have been a mistake there from Halifdasson, but those two are also closing up to the back of Jan Brezina as well for the 4th place.
Yeah, I've been looking at Halifdasson's driving, and it seems like he is really struggling with the rear tires, constantly spinning the wheels out of these slower corners. So I believe it will be only a matter of time until Lothoris just to make the pass. Because Halifdasson is really not getting a good exit out of these corners. And he might even consider taking the tires on the pit stop.
Just currently on board with Lothoris at the moment. He's got the DRS open now. And yeah, he just goes right past Halifdasson up into the 5th place. Up into Tamburelli. Just manages to pull it up there. But that promotes him up into the 5th place there. Great move from there from Lothoris. As you say, started from the pit lane last time around 24.0, so he was the quickest of those 3 that we mentioned, but still not quicker than the top 3 at the moment that are in the 23s.
Yes, that is still Janssen running first. Fairly unchallenged so far. And I believe he is running new paint job for this round. With the Melbourne Kart Center as main sponsor there on the airports. Very colorful in my opinion. And it actually looks very nice.
Yeah, definitely.
And behind him on the second place is Gregor Olson, just coming through the main straight here. About 3.7 seconds behind. And then on third we have Peo Albert, 8 seconds behind, making through some lap traffic here. No issues whatsoever.
See that over just managing to pull it up. He had to correct the back end coming around, but manages to hold on to the car. So yeah, great save there from Bo Albert. Last time around he was the quickest of those 3. Managing to pull in about 2.5 tenths of a second, but still 12 seconds behind Janssen.
And currently on fourth, that is Latoros. He just made the pass on Jan Bresina. And he is quickly approaching the podium finish for this race, despite starting from the pits. Lewis Vetting, he is still running 7th, but pace has been fairly good, although his previous lap time was not spectacular. It was 1 minute 25.7, so there might have been some small issue.
Yeah, just having a look back at the replay, Latoros managing to get past Bresina. Pretty much the same move that he pulled on Halef Dassen with DRS, being within 1 second of the car in front, and yeah, just going straight past. Nothing really Bresina could do. Latoros, yeah, as mentioned, being promoted up into 4th place.
But Bresina is not giving up and he's very close here. Should be in the DRS range and the wing comes open. Let's see where he is going. Looking for it. Doesn't seem like he was just close enough. Maybe Latoros was using the battery to his advantage to defend the place. As they are passing lap traffic, that is Team McKnight. Currently running 15th and 1 lap down.
Yeah, it also looked like the Latoros were quite defensive going through the little first kink there up into Tamburello. It's quite narrow there, especially with the DRS. We've seen that at other tracks. Sudden change of direction with the DRS open can cause the car to flick spin at very high speed. So yeah, Bresina definitely having to back out of there to protect his car, and yeah, having to wait another lap as Latoros doing some great defensive moves to hold him to that 4th position.
Yeah, the benefit from the DRS does come at the cost of losing the rear downforce. I believe even in the F1 it automatically closes if you come off the throttle and go on the brakes, just so it's a safety feature so you don't spin.
Yeah, that's correct.
So aside from this battle for the 4th place, we also have battle for 7th, as Dan Shepard is very close to Lewis Vetting here. Shepard was over a second, 1.5 second faster on the previous lap than Vetting. And he might be close enough here as we come out the final corner. DRS should be coming open here. There it is. But Vetting was also very fast out of the final corner and just Shepard nowhere near. So is that perhaps some kind of bodywork damage on the Shepard's car that is affecting his top 9 speed, because I was really expecting to be much closer there.
Yeah, definitely. Might have been the exit traction that Dylan Shepard that caused him to be such far back, but yeah.
Oh, and here they go side by side.
Yeah, Shepard threw it up the inside and manages to get up the inside of Tozer, but yeah, with that small contact, I think he had to let Lewis Vetting back through as he falls back to 8th as Yeah, there was. Yeah, this is. They just ran a little bit deep into the Aquamela rally, but yeah, some small issues for Dylan Shepherd that have kind of hindered him in his progress, trying to make it back up into the top 5. As I saw that he was once in a podium position before.
Yeah, Shepard has had 2 slow laps and he has beat that already. And his pit stop was 3.6 seconds, so is that tires? I don't think so. I think out of the cars running, he is the only one who has made a so-called proper pit stop. Everyone else has pitted for repairs or anything else like that.
Yeah, with the pit stop in the MP430, I think it only is tyres that you can that take all other than damage repair. If the drivers don't have a free fast repair available to them. So if it is longer than about 5 to 8 seconds, it's usually damage that they're trying to repair, as yeah, the fuel tanks are pretty much fixed from the start of the race, so you have to take the fuel going into the race rather than pitting for fuel as well. So yeah, it looks as though that Shepherd's managed to close up the gap quite convincingly to Lewis Wedding. He's only 0.3 of a second as Wedding getting a little bit squirrely out of the Variante Alta chicane, which allows Shepherd to get all over the back of him, but Shepherd having to hold back as he locks the brakes into the Ravazza. And coming out of the second part of the Ravazza now, Shepherd much closer than he was last time with the DRS open. Should breeze past him, but it looks as though that Wedding's on the battery power, but yeah, Shepherd on the inside. Always Wedding loses the back end and has a bit of a contact with Shepherd there.
Oh, and that was just a clumsy move. Even on the going towards the corner, just halfway through the grass, and I think the contact there was inevitable. But fortunately, I just double checked, and there is 2 fast repairs available for the drivers. So you don't have to spend a huge amount of time on the pit lane repairing. And what has happened to Pio Albert as well? Because he is currently... he has stopped on the track, and is that because of an incident? Coming through the final corner, yeah, he just gets on the curbs, gives it a little bit too much throttle, and off he goes on the inside wall, and that is terminal damage. So now he has to wait for the tow, and then he will be able to resume, because I don't think he has used the fast repair yet. And that promotes Evan Torres to the 2nd place.
Yeah, I think Albert didn't take as much curb as what Shepherd did when he had that 360 flick spin. So yeah, definitely unfortunate there for Albert. Would have been quicker for him to drive it back to the pits, but yeah, with that tow, yeah, he'll be waiting there for a good lap or so before he can get back onto the track.
Yes, I can see that. Yeah, Albert has left the session, so he has had enough for the night.
So while that's been going on, it looks as though that Janssen, our leader, has decided to come into the pits for tyres as well. So Janssen falls back into 5th place with a 4.3 second stop. The only other driver to have pitted, Dylan Shepherd, but he had to pit for repair with an earlier spin. So, but it looks as though that Janssen's back up into 4th place as Halfdassen has had some sort of issue with whether he's just letting him go just due to the sheer pace of Janssen.
Yeah, I think he might be just letting Janssen fight because they are not racing together. Halfdassen hasn't done the pit stop, and Janssen really appreciates that because he just had a fairly close call with the left car through the Variante Alta. was able to avoid any kind of incident there, but it was pretty close, as he is now approaching Wei Han Chan just to lap him. Wei Han Chan currently running 12th. Seems like he's had a fairly uneventful race, as just clips the inside curve a little bit too hard. Jansen steers way clear to avoid any kind of issues there. And also Hartley Dawson makes past Wei Han Chan.
So while the pit stops have been going on, Gregory Olsen has taken the lead. Evan Lothoris back in second place, having started from the pit lane. Jan Brezina finds himself in the final podium position. Steve Jansen in fourth place, Half Dassen in fifth, Dylan Shepherd sixth. Lewis Wedding finds himself in seventh position. Luke Sullivan, haven't seen much of him in this race, but he finds himself in 8th position. Phil White in pit number 9 and Scott McKee rounding out the top 10.
Look at here, it is just top 10 that is in there. No, that is top 8 that's still on the lead lap. So it seems like there is quite a difference in pace on this track compared to, let's say, some of the previous races we've seen before, for example Spa.
Montreal, yep. I think Montreal was the definite leveler in terms of it being much closer, but also track like Spa were quite long, 7 kilometers. Drivers were, I think, some of them were in the mid to low 46s in qualifying, but 1 minute 50s in the race. But yeah, some of the drivers were lapping into the mid 55s during the race. So yeah, quite a pace difference, especially at a track round like Spa.
And also quite different from the last week at Circuit of the Americas. I think especially in there we saw drivers really struggling with the track and getting to grips with it. But I believe that also led into many of the overtakes that we saw, especially in the final section, where we had many drivers just being able to run side by side and really challenge for their positions.
Yeah, definite characteristic of a Tilke track is Kota, developed by Herman Tilke. But yeah, with Kota is quite wide and definitely promoting that that sense of overtaking, which was obviously great to see.
And also we have just heard from Leo Albert about what happened to him. Apparently, someone in his family turned off his screen while he was racing, and he is not happy right now. So I think he just retired to cool down and just take a break.
Yeah, definitely an unfortunate moment there for Albert. Yeah, definitely needing to call off after that one, especially through the final corner, and ending the race with still a little bit to go, as we've still got 19 minutes in this race. This race is flying by, to be honest. Currently we are on lap number 25. Gregory Olsen.
Oh, and Jansen has an issue with the lap car into the turn 2. Makes a contact, and that might be at least a broken front wing, or if not even the front suspension. That was Arifin just braking way too late, way too hard. No reason to challenge Jansen, who was, yeah, that was 1 lap ahead of him. It is like completely unnecessary, and now Jansen is really hoping that there is no damage to his car.
Yeah, Jansen was trying to stay out of the way of Arifin, but yeah, Arifin just couldn't pull it up. Yeah, definitely an unfortunate incident there for Jansen, as he was current leader of the driver that had pitted. But yeah, still finds him in 4th place, but yeah, still 47 seconds behind our current leader at the moment.
And something has also happened to Lewis Wenning, because I just saw him retire to the pits. So he must have had an incident somewhere. Just trying to find what happened to him. Is it in the first chicane?
Yeah, I'm just going back on looking at Lewis Wenning as he's coming through to the Tamburello. It looks as though that he's had the first part of Tamburello. No issues there. Oh, is on the exit of the Tamburello, yeah, got hard on the power, but yeah, just the back end coming around and yeah, just gone nose first into the barrier there, and that's ended his race.
Wenning should still be able to join, because he hasn't used his fast repairs. But he does have to wait for the towing penalty, which is quite long here. So he might still be in for a top 10 finish if he continues.
Yeah, currently Lewis Wenning finds himself in pin number 8 after that incident there, but yeah, still in the pits there. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see whether he joins after he's able to get out of the pits. So
I would assume that he does, because I mean, all the points matter. You just want to get the points, and you really never know what happens, as we've seen tonight. Many of the drivers really struggling with the grip, especially on corner exits. We've seen these kind of spins and accidents happening all the time. And let's say you have drivers, especially like Harley Dawson, who's constantly struggling with the rear tires, has been able to stay out of trouble for most of it, but you can see that it's really not easy tonight here at Imola. Although if you look at Olsson, he's still running up there, has made the pit stop and currently leading, although Janssen is closing in. That is 48 seconds between Olsson and Janssen, so do you remember how much was the pit lane time here?
I think it's quite substantial here. If I'm...
Yeah, recall it's very low pit lane speed.
Yeah, I'm just...
that is, it's 60 kilometers per hour on the pit lane. And
yeah,
it is pretty far.
Yeah, it looks as though that the pit lane time for some of the drivers has been about 41 to 42 seconds. So, yeah, look, yeah, it's quite a steep penalty, but currently, if Greg Olson decides to pit, he will come out in front of Janssen. But obviously, Lathoris will take the lead, as he's only 13 seconds behind Olson at the moment, and close.
So that collision with the back marker really cost Janssen a lot. Effectively, it cost him the lead as it stands right now. We have to just wait and see what happens after Olson pits and when Lathoris decides to pit, because Lathoris has been faster than Olson and Janssen on previous laps. So we might even still get a three-way battle for the win. And we also have battle for the 12th place between Morgan and McKnight. Morgan makes the pass and McKnight spins around on the umbrella. McKnight wisely waiting here, just to not cause any issues and let the guys pass. Safely rejoins the track. Does lose a place to Wenning, but I think he just didn't want to take any risk and just bring the car home.
Yeah, just McKnight losing the back end, trying to go around the outside of Morgan there. Morgan doing a stellar job defending there, protecting 12th place, but yeah, finding himself back in 14th place after that little incident there. Great sportsmanship for Wenning, especially at a tricky corner like the Tamburello.
And another lap, and we still don't see Olsen coming in for the pits. And I don't suppose Latoros will be coming in either. And now he drives past the pit entry. So they are really running long here.
Yeah, if they've decided to not pit at this stage, I reckon that they'll be committing to a no stop, as yeah, pit stop is not mandatory, but at some tracks it might be advantageous to, especially with the pace that you'll get from the fresh tyres compared to worn out tyres at the end of the race. So I've still got 12 and a quarter minutes to go in this race. We'll just have to wait and see where our leader crosses the line to see whether it will force a much longer lap, or whether it will be at the end of the lap where the clock winds down and it brings out the white flag.
And as for Olsen and Latoros, their current pace, well, it is fast enough, so if they can just keep running like this, it is enough for them. And I don't think Jansen is so far back that he is not going to gas them by driving. Olsen and Latoros would have to pit, but that would be just forced pit stop by a severe hardware, which I'm really not seeing right now, as they're running into 1 minute 23s. And even Latoros constantly hitting those low 23s. So no issues for him at all.
Yeah, currently the fastest lap is held by the 23.0. So yeah, definitely Latoros showing his pace here today. Still 11.3 seconds behind Greg Olsen, but he decided to start from the pit lane and finds himself in second place. So solid drive from Latoros, current championship leader at the moment. So we'll just have to wait and see whether he's able to close up to Olsen, whether Olsen has any issues with traffic, or whether he makes a mistake. But looking at that gap, I don't think he will be catching him, even though that Latoros caught Olsen by 7 tenths last time around.
Yeah, that is, well, it's still a bit over 11-second gap, so I don't think that is not fast enough for me to catch him by driving, I don't think. Because we only got now under 10 minutes remaining of the race. So he would have to pull some miracle laps, and now Latoros' previous lap time was 6 tenths slower than Olsen. But we do have a good battle going on for the pit place between Aflidason and Brezina. They've been fairly close all the way, and now there's a left car behind it, in between them. So they have to tread really carefully. Brezina makes through, and now can resume their fight.
Just said that lap traffic lost Brezina about half a second there. His way through the very anti-alta. The power coming through this fast sweeping section up into the Rabatza. Hope goes hard on the brakes there. Managed to get the car in nicely. Runs it out wide to the second part of the Rabatza. Gets out to the pit. Whoa, gets hard on the power, but yeah, loses the back end. And yeah, costs him a good 3-4 seconds there. Jumps on the power.
But good on him for staying out of the walls and being able to just keep it under control, relatively speaking, compared to some of the spins that we've seen tonight on that corner.
Yeah, I know that Jan runs in VR, so yeah, definitely one of those heart-stopping moments when you jump over that curve and you see the back end coming around. So yeah, great save from him. Still finds himself in 6th place, but yeah, that gap's blown out to about 4.5 seconds after that last corner half spin there.
Let's see, we have Bill White having some adventures over the curbs, but no major issues there. It seems like the field is bringing out, so we are just now waiting to see what is going to come up through this final 7 minutes of the race. Because if it's anything like last week at Kota, things will happen. And it will get very exciting very quickly, as Presina has another exciting moment with the lap car through there, through the final corners. So while we were waiting for the action to pick up, let's see where we are next time. We are at the that is Grand Prix of Georgia at the Road Atlanta, and that's not necessarily the first thing that comes to mind when I think of F1 and the circuits. So how do you feel about that one?
Yeah, I think that Grand Prix of Georgia will be quite an interesting one. Last time I saw the current F1 car at the time was the Williams FW31. Your fellow countryman Rico Alatolo managing to take the pole position in the Formula 1 World Championship Grand Prix Series race there, but managing to get edged out by Gregor Huttu for the win there. But yeah, definitely not a track that would first come to mind with the Formula 1 car, but yeah, definitely excited to see what will transpire in next week's race.
Yeah, and if we were there last night with the BSRTC, and you can imagine 50 Kia touring cars, it was plenty of action all the way through, especially through the downhill section. So I'm really looking forward to how these guys will handle with this car.
Yeah, with the blind first sector, I reckon it will prove quite the challenge for the driver, especially, as you say, going through that turn 3 curb and then down through the S's all the way up into turn 5. Definitely don't want to hit the outside curb on the exit there, as I've done on many occasions, clipping the outside wall or the inside wall as well, and that can be a race ender right there, especially if you do it early in the race.
Yeah, true. That turn 5 really can be very tricky. It's also surprisingly fast, so especially on a car like this that really relies on downforce, you really don't want sudden changes in the, let's say, wind direction. If that changes, it completely throws off your line. So I'm wondering if drivers will be going with a little bit more safer setup for that track compared to what they would be running for, let's say, Kota or this one.
Rather than you definitely want to trim out the downforce, especially on the huge back straight, where that'll be the only DRS section I would think from memory. But definitely would help if you have as much downforce as you can for the first 2 sectors, heading up through turn number 3 and all the way up into the turn number 8. Which definitely a bit of a juxtaposition in terms of the setup and which direction you want to go, whether you want to go for overall top speed to defend into the turn 10 chicane, or whether you just want the overall downforce to maintain the pace through the lap.
It's also fairly bumpy track. I mean, you don't necessarily notice it on the cars that usually run there, but with low cars like the F1, you will really notice, especially the curbs on especially the blind corners at the beginning, as you were mentioning. Those can really upset your car, as you don't have the grip, you don't really see where you're going. When particularly on this kind of car where you're sitting very low in the cockpit, so you can't see anything at all. But back to this race, we do still have good battles going on, and here for is that 14th place between Wei Han Chan and Esteban Estornino. They are 3 laps down, but you don't really... It doesn't look like it at all. They are going all out. And that is one... yeah, that was one car lapping them, I believe.
Oh, so you see Wei Han Chan trying to... Was it Wei Han Chan trying to come back onto the circuit, but Estorino being in that position, but yeah, having a slight contact there on the exit of the Tamburello there. Estorino managed to defend that 13th position. The incident for both Estorino and Wei Han Chan there.
Yeah, Wei Han Chan a bit struggling there, but so is Alan Morgan, who just spins out there. Tosa damages his front wing. He's able to carry on, so hopefully that is just front wing damage, and he would be able to just make it back home. Get that at least decent finish here. He's currently running 12th. I think that is Jan Bresina going past Harley Dawson. Just in the turn 2.
Yeah, it's been the favourite overtaking place for the drivers today. Yeah, just Jan Bresina just having the DRS and yeah, managing to go around the outside of Hal Dawson there. Just with the overspeed there that the DRS provides. Yeah, giving the advantage there to Bresina, and Bresina finds himself promoting himself up into the 5th place there.
Yeah, but look, and again Bresina runs wide. He did that on previous lap as well here at Aqua Minerale. Yeah, it seems like Bresina, he is struggling with the entries, whereas Harley Dawson is struggling with the corner exits. So they keep just swapping places. Maybe Bresina again gets a good run out of the Rivazza and is able to... well, not this time as he runs a little bit wide on the entry again. So he's clearly struggling with the brakes, or either the front tires. Because it seems like he just has no grip when it comes to the slowing down.
Just looking at current leader, Gregory Olsen, as he comes across the start-finish line with only 15 seconds to go. So, at this time, starting lap number 39, looks as though that this will be the white flag lap. Greg Olsen currently led 19 laps. It looks as though that he's pretty much been just saving his tyres. Saw that Janssen decided to take this pit stop, but yeah, definitely unfortunate that he had issues with the lap traffic. But yeah, Lothoris has done a stellar job as well, finding himself in 2nd position, only 11 seconds behind, so that gap's pretty much stayed stagnant throughout this race. As Olsen's just coming up to the lack of better traffic there through Aqua Minerale. It looks as though that's Alan Morgan.
Yeah, Janssen might be regretting the decision to make the pit stop. Because even with the small incident that he had with the lap traffic, he would have still lost the lead to Olsen. So maybe he just didn't feel happy with the tires, or maybe he was just abusing them too much. But Olsen, it looks as if these tires are just fine, no issues, and here it comes across the finish line. And Gregory Olsen wins here at Imola. And 2nd place, Evan Latoras. Yes, Evan Latoras coming through after starting with the pit lane. Finishes only 8 seconds behind the leader. Great race by him. And yet, now we're just waiting for Janssen. Currently coming through the Variante Alta, approaching Rivazza.
You also see that Jan Bresina is right on the back of Halaf Dassen. We'll have to cut to that once Janssen crosses the line. And congratulations to Janssen as he crosses the line to take the final podium position, even after that issues that he had with the back marker, but yeah, still had a very, very strong result to finish 3rd place. It looks as though that Halaf Dassen as well has had an issue, but yeah, still maintains the 5th place. But yeah, Brezina trying to go up the inside of him at Ravazza and manages to get the jump, but runs deep, and yeah, that promotes Half-Dassin back up into 5th place. But also seeing that Dylan Shepherd's come home in the 4th place. So yeah, Half-Dassin brings it home in the top 5. Jan Brezina brings it home in 6th place. See that Luke Sullivan's had an issue somewhere, so we'll have to see where.
Yeah, I can quickly try to take a look at what happened.
It's also worth mentioning that he finished the lap down, so whether he's decided to exit out of the car. But yeah, that was a fine race. See that Phil White, Martin Houston and Scott McQueen crossed the line to round out the top 10.
Yes, and it was looks when he was flat down and just stopped on the track to finish his race. So no issues for him, aside from the finishing lap down. So, solid result from McGregor Olson, and how does that look for the championship? Because I believe he was doing fairly well. Yeah, he was 3rd before this round, so this should promote him quite a bit. Although Latoros will also be making up positions with Ryan Parkins missing.
Yeah, I just brought the Drivers' Championship up on screen at the moment. This was the points coming into this round at Imola. Lathoris had a 13-point championship lead over Olsen. With the points gaps between the 1st and the 2nd place, I think Olsen will close that gap by between 5 and 10 points. So yeah, definitely the championship hotting up as we head into the second half of this championship. Mitchell McLeod, unfortunately not here, so he will fall down a little bit. Matt Webb finishing as a DNF, so yeah, he'll fall down a little bit, but yeah, it looks as though that Gregor Elson will close even further than he has heading into round number 5 at Road Atlanta.
So that pretty much does it for us here. We don't have Club 73 coming up this weekend, and Euro V8 is next Saturday. So I believe the next broadcast here on the Apex Racing TV is on Tuesday. Do we have the written deck?
Sorry, I missed that one, Sam.
Yeah, just to try to look at what we have coming up. Well, we do have coming up the PSR Renault on Tuesday, as well as the PSR TC Kia Pro Series on Thursday, and then we are back to next Friday with Oceanic F1 coming from Road Atlanta. And if you want to find out more about the series, go ahead and visit oceanicf1.com. And thanks for the sponsors, Asmerica, Nuveo, and the latest sponsor, Melbourne Kart Center, as well as KRF Motorsports. I've been Samuli Kumo, and alongside me has been Scott Newton. And we'll see you next week.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night.